Welcome to episode 7 of Journal with Witch, extremely delayed episode. It's me, your host, Waste, not introducing myself as Uni again, with my co-host, Uni. Uni, very quickly, his internet went out. We have to record this again. What are your initial thoughts of this episode?
It was boring. It made me go, I don't care. Mostly because a lot of this episode, I feel like, is just like repeated information, but from like a little bit of a different perspective, but like not too interesting of a perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Because like most of this episode is just like the idea that like, what's the main character's name again? I forgot. It's like
Asa or Makio?
Makio, that's it. Sorry, folks. It's been a little bit. So like most of this episode is like Makio like talking to the best friend of Asa's mom about like the idea of being a mom, and it's just like, well, are you her parent, or are you doing whatever the mom? The mom label was, and Makio's like, well, I don't think I'm her parent. I don't think I could replace that, so I'm just doing the best I can, whatever. And pretty much like what I just said is like strung along for like 15 minutes. And it's just like, come on, guys. It did not need to be that long. Is my conceit and criticism of this episode, where it's just like, this is like a fine idea, but we've already kind of covered it, and then also you're just doing it for way longer than I think is warranted. And a lot of it feels built up for like the big twist at the end.
Yeah, the big
basically
the big reveal.
Yeah, basically all the theming for most of it is just like the idea of just like the idea of motherhood, and also like what can we contribute to love, right? Like, what does love mean, and how do mothers express that love to their children, and how can that affect them? Like, that's pretty much like the build up of like most of the episode until the big reveal at the end. And I just kind of feel like, I don't know, I feel like I guess they really wanted that, but I think it makes the episode pretty weak overall, besides the end.
Yeah, there are a few funny things that are mentioned in these conversations. One of them, that it's revealed that the only reason why Kasamachi even met any of Makio's friends is because he insisted that she would be introduced to them. So he had to tell Makio's like, bro, please introduce me to your friends, which is the only reason even Kasamachi even meets up with Daigo. It is also and a lot of the conversation, that is because it's like you said before in the previous recording, that a lot of the conversations here are between Makio, Amity's mom, and Kasamachi and Daigo. But in the background, you can, if you either understand Japanese or you're reading the subtitles on what they're saying, there is some funny things being said over there. One of them that is just straight up mentioned offhandedly, that we've mentioned before in a previous episode, is that I think Asa is just, either it's Asa or Emity just mentions that Makio is neurodivergent, just confirming that she just is autistic. Like, that is just said by these characters. Another thing that was funny that I appreciated was that Daigo told Kasamachi that the only men, because Kasamachi is like, man, like Makio is such a catch, she always attracts like all these men. And Daigo just completely shits all over Makio and is like, the only men who are interested in Makio are fucking weirdos, and you are a weirdo. which I liked. Yeah. And the other thing that was mentioned that was of note, and again, this was with Asa and Emity, was that Asa just mentions that their dad was just extremely quiet any time they went anywhere, which is just felt really meta to me. Which it just felt like, I was like, God damn, this character is such a narrative cuckold, where this is like the justification for why they don't ever talk about him, because they're just saying here that anytime they went out to do anything, their dad just didn't say anything. He just wasn't interesting. So there's nothing to talk about. He sucked, so that's why we don't talk about him. And it's just like mentioned like in an offhanded conversation, which sandbagged him even further. You have to pay attention to these other subtitles, to what these other characters that are saying, that's obviously less narratively important. And it just offhandedly mentions like, yeah, my dad never really said much. He kind of just fucking sucked. Which again, it's like,
in terms of dad lore, this was a big episode.
Yes. This isn't the only thing, but this was before the really big reveal.
That got me the most excited.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's pretty much
there's a funny conversation Asa has with Emity about, like, you know, because obviously Emity's gay.
Yeah,
it's
Emity's
obvious.
gay. She's gay.
But there's like a conversation where like Asa is just like being very not intentionally, but she's inadvertently being like what would be the term, rude, I guess, to her. But she's like, oh, you want to get a boyfriend because that guy asked you out, you want a boyfriend? And she's like, no, I don't want a boyfriend, stop talking to me about me getting a boyfriend. And then she's like, oh, what, you want a girlfriend? And then, you know, that gets her a little bit upset.
And then she's thinking about the gay
so
movie.
That'll probably come. Yeah. So that was that's probably my favorite part of the episode, because I was like, "Ooh, she's being so mean to her gay friend." I can't wait to see that get brought up later.
Yeah, Asa, and I don't get too much into it because I recently just watched the next episode yesterday. Asa is just kind of mean. Like, she is. I think that, like, I've mentioned this a few times, but Asa just like kind of is rude. She just is mean. She is a brat. Like, this is just like established as a character trait for like from her, is that she is just kind of rude. She is just kind of an asshole. Well,
Sure,
I guess
be a resolution. They'll do a big kiss. They'll do a big gay kiss.
and then she's gonna become nice nice forever now. And then I guess
like my favorite show.
I guess the really meat and potatoes of this episode is that it's just revealed through, well, the way that Asa finds out about the journal that her mom left her and that she was expected to read when she was like 20 or something. I think 22, 20.
Yeah. I think 20.
Yeah, it was from Kasamachi, or Makio talking to Kasamachi, and she just like walks in. I guess somehow they literally don't hear her opening the door and hear the raining outside somehow. And Asa just overhears Makio talking about the journal that she found. And then Asa goes out of her way to go find it, and there's a lot in there. I don't know if you want to start that off.
It turns out the mother was the witch the whole time. Now I was hoping you'd pick up.
Yeah, there's
that was like my baton pass.
There was a lot of like crazy things said in here where narratively we've only really gotten a lot of how Asa's mom affected what she said affected Makio, but very clearly what Makio had said to Asa's mom clearly stuck with her. And I really just like, what was it? What was some of the things she said? You only care how others see you, and there's nothing you like or want to do. You suck. You are a complete bot, and you have nothing going on in your life, which is like pretty brutal, you know.
This is not the exact words, but she said something along the lines of like, you were empty inside and you're like bringing your emptiness out onto me.
And fuck you. Like, and you suck. Like, you actually really fucking suck. I don't want
anything to do with you. Get out of here.
Yeah,
and she's just right.
No, she is right, because it's clearly, I mean, it's very clear that like as soon as she's like talking to her friends, one of them mentions that as soon as she had a kid, she didn't think that that's what she wanted, but it has completed her as a person. And this is everything I ever wanted and I didn't know. And then it shows, like, literally the next scene is that she's pregnant, writing this journal, being like, I don't think this helped complete me as a person. I don't think this is actually what I needed. And then it's also revealed. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, along those lines, because like the presentation of the mother is that she calls Makio like a freak and not normal because she doesn't do the things the normal way. But now the shoe is on the other foot, because now Makio's sister is in a weird scenario where she's like she has like a weird relationship with her, like, I guess not husband, but like her father of her child, because they're not married, and the guy seemingly does not want to get married. He just is there to raise the child, but he seemingly just does not give a fuck about her emotionally. At least that's the presentation for now. And so Makio's sister is like forlonging, like, oh no, how do I deal with me being weird because I'm in this weird scenario? I'm not married properly, and I'm the last one to have child in my friend group. What was me? Yeah,
she does mention that, like, how did Makio, how do you, I don't know how you've dealt with being such a strange, weird freak this whole time, as she's like run into like literally just one thing. Like that's all it took for her entire like perception of herself to completely fall apart, which just like shows that there was nothing really there to begin with. Is that, oh well, I guess my husband doesn't want to get married to me, and I don't know how to bring this up to my friends without coming off as a complete social outcast to like these people. So I think she like dodges the question when they like kind of ask her of like, oh well, are you getting married? Are you getting married?
I've never seen your husband.
I've never seen him. I don't know nothing about him. And I'm trying to remember the other thing. Yeah, I think you already mentioned that. It's clearly shown or said by her mans that he doesn't want to get married to her, which like it's kind of crazy because like he doesn't really even go into detail. They don't even explain why he feels the way that he does, but it might just be surmised that part of the reason that he doesn't like her is for like the reasons that Makio had stated, that she's like a completely empty vessel with like no real interests of her own. And he just is like, well, whatever, you kind of fucking suck, and I'm willing to stay here for Asa and raise our child and be completely narratively cucked and not really ever say anything. And yeah, that's all I'm here for. And she just
the idea that I got, okay, because like the presentation is like it's really important to like get married and have children. You know, like that's the proper way you do.
That's things. The normal thing to do, to stay
a single
normal.
Yeah, that you can't be a single mother. So the presumption I got is that like whether they were ever intimate at all, or like if they were ever like serious with each other, I kind of get the feeling that they were like at the end of the ropes of the relationship and they would have just broken up. But like he got her pregnant, and so like now he is also like on the receiving end of like the sort of normalcy that he wants to build. So he's like, well, I can't like leave her a single mother because then that would look bad on me. So he's just like is sort of stuck in this position of just like, well, I don't like her, but I guess I'll just have to raise the child because that's the expectation. And so that's why he sticks around. Even presumably he does not even really care that much about even raising Asa. He seemingly is doing it for social expectation, is my presumption so far of this character.
Yeah,
because he's barely even like emotionally there, from what we know of him.
Yeah, probably more than likely wasn't even intentional, and the only reason he even had a kid was because Asa's mom really wanted a child and probably just leg locked him so she could have a child and be perceived as normal. And now he's just stuck here.
I can see that.
Well, this actually kind of fucking sucks, and like, yeah, I got you pregnant, but I guess I have to stick around now because like this is what you wanted. But I'm not gonna marry you because I fucking hate you. Like I don't give a shit about you. Like whatever, but like I guess I have to care about my daughter, you know. And
that makes it really interesting because Asa has numerously said, and she says it in this episode too, like, oh, you guys went and got yourself killed.
Yeah.
And I always took that to mean like, oh, she's just sort of lashing out at the idea that they got killed at all, and sort of just blaming them for her feeling bad. But like this new information sort of makes me think of like, I wonder how true that actually is. Like maybe there is some intentionality there to that, and that'll be interesting to see if that holds any truth at all to Asa's big revelation.
Yeah, and it's hard, and I know that Asa has been completely written off as like a brat, which like I kind of have for the most part, because she is rude, she is a brat, like established before. Right. But she rightfully debates on whether, because she says that like in the part of the book or journal that like Asa had read, I don't know if she's read everything, but at least in the section that she's read, that she says, well, I really loved you, and she goes like, you don't fucking know that. And I think she's completely justified in saying that, because after she finishes reading the part that she read, she's just like looking into like a bottomless black hole, debating that if her mom really truly ever loved her, or if she thinks that, because like if everything that was essentially written that we had seen from like this flashback is to be presumed what like Asa read, then she just knows that her mom had her because she wanted to fit in. She thought that she would eventually get purpose, you know, because that criticism that Makio hits her with of like being a completely empty shell of a person, the thing that happens after that, her friend again mentions that like, oh, after I had a child, I was completed, I'm whole, I'm a complete person, I'm everything I wanted to be. And then in the next scene, again, she's pregnant and she's like, my life is falling apart. Like, which is what Asa's mom says. So I think Asa, again, despite being a brat, I think she is completely 1,000% justified in not knowing if her mom really, truly ever fucking loved her. Like, because I don't know. I'm actually with her. I'm with Asa. She should feel that way.
I like that imagery of just like she right now is staring into like her mother's like soul, and like the only thing that she can like presume is just like it is empty. She's just staring into this big pit,
You know what?
and
That's
she's just like, "What
yeah.
is this?"
Yeah, that's a good metaphor for that. It's just like, yep, you're completely
Yeah.
empty. I don't know if there's anything down there. It seems like a bottomless pit to fucking me. There ain't nothing there. Um,
Yeah, I like that. I like emptiness metaphors. I like pits. I like chasms of unknowable depth. I'm sort of a chasm guy.
I'm a
I like
chasm.
chasm metaphors.
Okay. Yeah, I would say
But I like that motif so far.
yeah, it feels like I guess like we've already said this, but like a big portion of the episode was just like a build up here, and a lot of it kind of felt like filler. Even though there was like a few funny things says, it was just like a big build
Yeah.
up to this moment of like, oh, Asa's mom is just she kind of fucking sucks. Um, So I don't know. I don't even know if they're really gonna do anything to like flesh her out at this point. Like what could possibly be said to help justify her as a person? It's a different direction than I thought it was going to go. I really did think for a second there that it was just gonna be like, oh no, this was like Makio. You just never understood. Your sister. She did nothing but talk well about you behind your back. She was like a tsundere, and she really loved you. And then with this, like, with going through the journal and these flashbacks, it's like, oh no, she fucking sucked, actually. And even in the moments where it's turning out that, like, even though Makio clearly has her issues and her ways of struggling with, like, her weird, being odd, being neurodivergent. And again, it's just straight up just said, like, people just suspect that, like, Makio is neurodivergent. Despite being the way that she is, like, for the most part, living well enough, having her, like, own insecurities. But when it goes to Makio's mom, instead of like acknowledging that like your way of life might be better, it's just like, how did you live being a fucking freak, you know? So I don't know.
I think the idea like there's an idea presented from Asa's friend's mom. I forget the name of the friend and also the name of the mom,
Yeah, who
but
cares? Emily.
who cares? She she like presents the idea of just Makio asks her like, oh, do you regret having children? And she's like, I do have some regrets, but I feel like whatever path I would take, I would always have regrets no matter what, so it doesn't really matter. And also like the idea just like, oh, you don't really know a person after they have children,
Yeah.
because like how I am now is completely different from when before I had a child. So I think the idea maybe like if they're gonna soften it a bit, which they might, is like the idea that like after she had a child, maybe she uh became more human. I guess might be the idea going forward.
Yeah, one nice thing that she does say to Makio is that trying your best, because that's what Makio says. She says like, oh, like I'm trying my best, and Emily's mom just tells her that's what it means to raise a child, like trying your best. Like that is the best that we can do, is that you're giving it your all. And sometimes obviously someone's all is better than someone else's all, but like so long as you're like really putting your best foot forward, that's really what it means to raise a child. Which is interesting because Makio gets like a certain look in her eye, like she hadn't really even considered that she was raising a child up until that said to her. And then she has like a really cute moment with Emily's mom, because I don't know, I think this was established in episode 3 or 4, that when Emily mentioned that her mom wanted to meet Makio, Makio was like, I don't really care for formalities, and tell her I said that verbatim and I don't want to meet her. Just for when Makio does spread her wings a little bit and does talk to her, she says to her, well, after this conversation, what I just mentioned of trying your best, she says, I'm glad that I met you. So like, like she's spreading her wings a little bit, which I did enjoy. That was nice.
Yeah, the animation this episode was also very mediocre. I mean, I guess like that's another thing where it's just like, oh man, this is just like a conversation between people, and the animation is like, it's fine, but it's not very like engaging visually. Because like usually they have like visual metaphors and like little bits of animation like that here and there. But this episode had like pretty much none, except for like at the end. It's just like straight up just like two conversations that people are having, and they're sitting down and talking. I mean, I guess they do have that gag of like the mom having like big wet eyes. She's got big wet eyes.
Yeah. Or Makio is kind of just talking about, what is it, like her upbringing or her like the way that she thinks, and then by the time she's done talking, Emily's mom is just like about to burst into tears. which I really like. And I think Emily mentions is like, don't worry about her. Like, she's the type to cry over commercials, you know, which I thought was funny. Well, I don't know. I think, is there anything else that you want to mention? I think we've pretty much established everything here. He's thinking. Okay, what's your score? What's your score, Uni?
Probably like a 5. I don't know. Like, I don't want to say filler because filler is like such an ugly word these days.
Horrid.
But I do feel like a lot of this episode was made in such a way so that they could have the big reveal at the end, and so they structured it. And I can't know this for a fact, but like this is what I felt when I watched it. It felt like they really wanted that ending stinger, and so they like sort of worked backwards and tried to justify the rest of like the runtime. And I think that made for a weaker episode overall. Like, if I was gonna rewatch this, I definitely would just be like, I'm just waiting for the end.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the thing to happen. Yeah, I would. Yeah. I would say that like I feel like a lot.
Not terrible. There's some fun stuff, but like it does not. There's not enough fun stuff.
They were just banking on the ending part, really, and I don't think that's too controversial to say. Like, a lot of it is just kind of like things are being said, but none of it is like of any too much import. And then you get hit with the bombshell at the end, which is like the real big reveal, obviously. Yeah, I would say I'd give it a 6 because I'd give it a 6 at the very least. And my justification is that like, you're right. Even though like most of the episode was kind of whatever, that reveal was good. That was juicy. There was like a lot there. And I do appreciate the route of like, that they went with her mom of like, you know what, she kind of does fucking suck actually. Like, you know what, maybe Makio is justified in like how she felt.
She's the witch.
Yeah, the journal with witch was never Makio. It was always her.
It was the sister.
It was always her mom. It's true. All right, so yeah, I'd give it a 6. All right then. Well, I'm glad that you guys caught us in the super delayed episode. We'll probably have the next one out sooner rather than later. All right, we'll see you guys on the next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.